Good morning, it's Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. and this is To Back or Not To Back. We're going to be going into all the campaigns, the stuff, the games, all the things on GameFound, on Kickstarter. I'm lying, there's none on GameFound this week, there's none on BackerKit. It's an exclusively Kickstarter week this week, so let's go ahead and dive into it. And starting off the bat with a infrequent but regular reminder, I do have a Patreon link down below if you want to check that out, in which I have like 2 videos that go up every single week just for Patreon, a general behind the scenes video of everything going on, and there's actually stuff going on this week, but past that, as well as a unfair and unbalanced every single Monday, along with the To Back and Not To Back, in which I give you all the reasons not to back all the various Kickstarters, like specifically trying to be aggressively mean towards the Kickstarters. Apologies to the creators who are seeing this little segment right now. It's a thing I do, but it's mean to everything, including all the games I like too, so there is that. But in any case, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off the bat with Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now, where we take a look at active ongoing, that's not true, I was going to say active ongoing campaigns, that's not true, Cult of the Now, where we take a look at, well, games you can buy this minute, games you can buy right away, although this time I am cheating a bit with Acropolis. This can be from Hachette Games, from Gigamic Games. This is a pre-order over on Card House, so $29.99 for a pre-order, so it's not technically available now, but it does say August 31st, which means it's so close that it basically counts as now, as far as I'm concerned. And Acropolis is one of the 2 highlights in terms of the games I played at Gen Con that I most enjoyed. Acropolis is one of 2 highlights along with Hopmox Victorum, and this is available for the low price of $30. Granted, you'll have to pay for shipping or get your order to $99 over there, but that's definitely doable. I, for myself, just went ahead and got a bunch of Marvel Champions packs that I was behind on and loaded up my order that way. That's usually what I do nowadays when I want free shipping. I just catch up on my Marvel Champions purchases. But either way, that is basically Acropolis. Great game, tile-laying game. If you like Cascadia, this is in the same vein, although this one, the city builds up and it's a whole different scoring mechanism. Solid game, Acropolis. It's available now and it's only $30, and it's not going to be $100 or $70 or waiting a year and a half or wondering about the drama of this or the increased shipping costs there. It's crowdfunding is great. Crowdfunding has a lot of pluses to it, but it also has a lot of, well, downsides to it as well. And from there, let's go ahead and start off the bat with a minor update. Nothing crazy there. We have no cancellations, we have no not funding, we have no board game adjacent. We have a minor update over on Barbaric. Barbaric with 857 backers. This is one we covered last week and is very, very cool looking and yet very, very expensive looking as well, or expensive-ish, not expensive, period, not expensive looking, not expensive-ish, just expensive. This Barbaric over here is going to run you $120 for a single box over here, $300 for the gameplay over there, $340 for the full collector set of everything, and it does look very cool, and it has great miniatures and all that stuff, but the thing you want to pay attention to, and the reason we have a minor update, and the reason why I may talk about it next week or the week after, probably the week after next, because it's 14 days to go on this, and they are doing daily reveals, and the daily reveals are a lot. They are adding a lot of content to the game. You can see over here, the daily reveals aren't like a card or 2 cards or 3 cards. They are full-on miniatures and then full-on vehicles as well, giving you a lot of additional content. You can see over here, every few days you're getting new miniatures, new heroes, new vehicles, all that stuff, and across another 14 more days of content. So you're going to want to pay attention to this one. If you are interested in it, the stretch goal content, the daily reveals are definitely increasing what you can expect to see out of Barbaric. So just a note, if you are or were interested in this one and there's a cost to content conversation, keep your eyes peeled for the stretch goals of this campaign to see where it ends up. And again, we'll hopefully, if I remember, we'll talk about it next week or the week after next as well. From there, we're diving into new campaigns, starting off with Foundations of Rome. Foundations of Rome, Roads of Fortune, and Second Printing. A game I've managed to miss 2 weeks in a row now, somehow, I don't know why. I talked about it as far as coming to Kickstarter, and then I completely forgot to talk about it, you know, hey, it's on Kickstarter, let's actually back this thing. 8,000 backers, $841,000, 12 hours to go, not 12 days to go, so you have very, very little time. The good news is this video is actually being filmed the day of, not like the night before or 2 days before, so that 12 hours to go actually means you still have time. Not a lot of time, granted, but that's why you should. Reminder to ring the bell and subscribe and all those things so you don't miss all the videos. By the way, for the record, if you're new to my channel, I do subscribe, ring the bells, and Patreon, you know, updates and things and pushes very, very infrequently. So lucky you, you're getting them both in one video. That's very unusual. Give me a second for the coffee here. Maybe I should film more of these in the morning when my energy's all hype and buzz and pip and all that stuff. But let's go ahead. Is it pip or pep? I feel like it's pep. Let's go with pep. Hype and buzz and pep and all that stuff. From there we have, let's go ahead and dive into Foundations of Rome. Not from there, we're still on Foundations of Rome. Let's talk about this. This is Foundations of Rome, the Roads to Fortune. This is going to be a small expansion. They go through it a bit. They're going to be like, you know, additional roads, additional markers. It's going to be like these roads that go on the side of the board to make edges of the board more appealing, to balance that aspect of the game where the edges were usually the least appealing, with only a handful of monuments rewarding you for edges and everything else penalizing you for edges. Just not really penalizing you, just the nature of edges they are less interesting. You ever had brownies? Brownies, the edges are the worst. You ever seen those brownie pans that make it all edges? I don't know who thought that was a good thing. That's like someone saying, hey, let's sell orange juice that's all pulp. Like that you took the worst possible part of something and you made it as a feature. I don't know what's going on. Either way, cue all the comments down below from the 4 people who think edges of brownies are the best. They're the worst. We both know it. You know it. I know it. And the 4,215 thumbs up on this video also know that. I really am pep and buzz. Either way, Roads of Fortune. Roads of Fortune, this is an expansion that is going to run you basically over here $40, although with the caveat that they are giving you a $5 credit, it looks like. It looks like they basically adjusted the price a bit downwards, so that $40 comes with a $5 credit towards shipping, or towards this, or towards whatever, in the Pledge Manager. So they dropped the price down a bit. They talk about it in some of the updates. But past that, this is an expansion that will fit into the box. This is Foundations of Rome. This is an expansion to Foundations of Rome. It will fit into the giant box as well. And there's a bunch of other pledge levels over here. Oh, there's that Alex Radcliffe guy. He's the worst. More than just a set of pretty buildings, it has quickly become one of my favorite polyomino games. I stand by that. This game, Foundations of Rome, to be very, very clear, to be 100% clear, so there's no, in any way, lack of understanding here, I 100% believe that the gameplay of Foundations of Rome is elevated by the pretty miniatures. In other words, this game without the pretty miniatures drops a half point in my rating. I gave this one a 4.5. I think it would just be a 4 without the pretty miniatures. The pretty miniatures, the immersion, the table presence, all that, and the fact that that all comes without the cost of setup and accessibility. The game pulls straight out and is incredibly easy to table, and I love that. Now, it does have a lack of accessibility in terms of traveling around, although it looks like they're trying to solve that with a board game tables custom bag for this game, which honestly would help. Still a beast, but less of a beast to lug around in a board game tables bag. But past that, Foundations of Rome is a great game. It is an excellent game. Yes, the piece is elevated, but the gameplay is still excellent past that. The gameplay gives you tight considerations as you try to place down your buildings, try to be mindful of future growth, how it impacts things. The fact that the game comes with like 5 modules in the box makes it very variable in terms of the different types and ways you can play, from negotiation to stealing properties, to the monuments you have in play, to any number of different things, to the, starting cards you have, to objectives, a whole bunch of stuff to mix up and modify the gameplay you have over here. This is a great game that I really, really enjoy. I'm curious to see how Roads of Fortune mixes up the experience for me, but I'll find that out later, because I don't need to find that out right now, because I don't have it right now. So I'll get it later and figure all that out. But we have $40 with a $5 credit in the Pledge Manager. We have $200 for the Emperor over here. We have $230 for the Maximus for new backers. Basically a whole lot of stuff over here, including Sundrop options, metal coins. Now, for the record, I do think the metal coins, at least the ones in the first edition, and I'm assuming they're not changing them, I did not like those. I thought those looked cheap. I got my own custom metal coins to make them actually match the sheer level of quality this game is bringing to the table. I thought the metal coins over here were cheap feeling and cheap looking compared to everything else they have. They also have upgraded score tokens. Make sure to pay attention to some of the things they have over here for the upgraded tokens in the second edition over here. But that is basically Foundations of Rome. And plenty of ways to spend $300 on this to get everything you want, but also a game that is very, very solid. A premium game, you have to want this, and you have to be willing to account for the fact that you could get 4 or 5 other polyomino games instead of this, but other than that, a very solid game. As far as should you back it, should you not, this one is expensive. It will hold its value. I'm not worried about that. If you look at the first edition, it did a great job holding its value overall, and I believe that will hold up just fine for the second edition as well, for the second printing. So I do think it'll hold its value, but it also is expensive. Understand and walk into this one knowing full well it's going to cost you a pretty penny, and if you keep it, you're spending the money on the game. Like, if you sell it, sure, you'll get your money back. If you keep it, that's a very expensive paperweight that'll take up an entire callus cubby. It is accessible and easy to table. There is that. I mean, this is a game that I've tabled an extensive amount of time since getting it, compared to many, many other games that have seen far less play. But that doesn't mean it's not expensive. It just means that, well, it just means it's a good game. Either way, that's Foundations of Rome. Moving on to the Little Flower Shop Duel, a Dr. Finn's BYOP game. This is one of 2 roll and writes we have over here. Well, for print and play roll and writes, which, again, as we've talked about in the past, is becoming a more and more common genre on Kickstarter with everything going on in the world and the state of the unknown and shipping and all those other things. And so over here we have 290 backers, 7 days to go on the 3rd version of the Little Flower Shop from Dr. Finn's. We have the first version of the Little Flower Shop, we have the Little Flower Shop, the dice game, and now we have the Little Flower Shop Duel, giving you the same basic gameplay as you try to put things onto your shelves, as you try to organize the flowers and the accessories and all those things and the vases on your shelf, but this time with a print and play format, in a duel-based game, as you try to select things off a warehouse table over there, add it into your shelf, and trying to just basically bring your own pencil. It's print and play. It's a print and play. You print out the sheets, you do what you need to do, you bring your own pencil and nothing else, and past that, it's basically, well, that. It's going to run you $5 for the game over here of Little Flower Shop Duel, and then past that, there's a bunch of options to get other games from Dr. Finn as well. In case you want to get any physical games, this is a good opportunity to get any of those at the same time. This is a print and play, which means print and plays, we do not talk about holding the value, because you should not be selling them. You should buy them and then play them, ideally, and if you don't play them, you don't play them, but this is not something you should be selling, so yeah, no value conversation over here. And then we have here the add-on games you can get from any of his things, from Mining Colony to School of Sorcery to Biblios, Nanga Parbat, any of these games from Dr. Finn's as well, in case you want the physical physical versions of those. And that is, well, the little flower shop duel. Give me 1 second while I go through the coffee here. From there, we have Bako Dig N Write. Bako Dig N Write, which is another print and play. A print and play in which you're going to be rolling dice every single round, drawing lines on your board. Let's see if we can find this over here. You're going to be rolling dice every single round. The dice you roll will determine the types of lines and patterns you get to put on your board, and then from there you are trying to infill those lines and patterns with the various shapes of the fossils you are excavating. So it's a polyomino game in which you are constructing the polyominoes. You're not like placing polyomino shapes onto your grid, rather you're using line drawing to construct the polyominoes, which I think is a very interesting way of approaching it. The last game I believe that had something like that was probably... Nope, I don't remember. I'm sure it's been done. But yeah, you have line constructing polyominoes, and then you figure out what you're excavating from the various cards in play as you try to figure out how to score as many points. This is roll and write, this is polyominoes, this is hitting the things that I like to see in roll and write games. As usual, my big constriction is the fact that I just am doubtful that I'll actually play these types of games. I'm doubtful I'll print them out. At some point I'll get like some sort of deluxe way of like storing a whole handful of roll and writes into a single container that makes it actually fit on the box on the shelf, and at that point we can have a conversation. Maybe I should back this for that, because it does look compelling. I mean, the game looks very pretty. I will not like, and you can also print it out and then laminate it and use it on a regular basis. For me, the lack of a box really does drive these things home, but it does look very much like my style of game. This is going to run you $5 for the game, for the Bako print and play game. Again, you go over here, you draw your faces by rolling dice, you dig fossils and treasures, you make more holes into your opponent's maps into the sheet. You can either mark them, or, I mean, if you're doing a laminated situation, you can't poke a hole, but you can mark them in some way, shape, or form. You can use gems to fully enclose the eggs. You fully enclose the eggs to earn gems to get special fences, and then most points, then the game wins. This is from the same people who brought you, let's see if we can find the name of it over here, who brought you Kaikoro over here, which was on Kickstarter a few months back. Another print and play game, both of them featuring beautiful art and accessible gameplay. I don't know if the games are good or not, I haven't played them, but they both look very solid and simple and compelling, and for the price point of $5, you can't go wrong, except for the fact that you have to decide if you're actually going to play it, or if it's just going to sit in a PDF in your email for the next 17 years. And the good news is, if you've done so, here's the good news. If you do that, if you do buy one of these games and they sit in a PDF and email for the next 17 years, at least the $5 just went directly to the creator. There's no waste, there's no production, there's none of these other conversations. There's just an exchange of money to support somebody else, and maybe you play it, maybe you don't. It's not the end of the world. Honestly, that's a fairly convincing argument. I may end up backing this one in the end. It looks cool. There's a few of these. I really, like, there are a few of these games that I've gotten, and I do want a way to actually play them, so I might go with, like, printing them out and laminating them, and then trying to have a single box where I store all my print and play roll and writes. I think it's not the worst idea. We'll see. Anyway, that's Bako Dig N Write over here. $5 for Bako Dig N Write. From there we have Red Dragon Inn, Battle for Greyport, Chaos in Copperforge. This is an expansion to the deck building game, which is based on the game The Red Dragon Inn. So this is not The Red Dragon Inn, and this is not a standalone game that is based on The Red Dragon Inn. This is an expansion to a standalone game that is based on The Red Dragon Inn. Hopefully that all made sense. Red Dragon Inn is a game. Then they made the Battle for Greyport, which is a deck building game in the same universe, and now they have Chaos in Copperforge, which is an expansion to the deck building game in the same universe as The Red Dragon Inn. Hopefully that all made sense, and yes, you can get promo cards for the Red Dragon Inn in this campaign at the same time. 1,249 backers, $80,000 raised, 17 days to go. This is Chaos in Copperforge, which is bringing you a bunch more content to the Red Dragon Inn. We're going to have over here, we have 8 new playable characters for the game. We're going to have new monsters, new murderous rows of murderous foes. We're going to have new ways that they have items that you attach to the monsters. Here you go. Many baddies now have items which you can pick up when you defeat them. So it adds items to the baddies, making them a little bit more dangerous, but giving you stuff on the way out as they die. So that's nice. That's a fun little twist on that. But basically more content for the Red Dragon Inn, for the Battle for Greyport, not for the Red Dragon Inn. More content for the game over here, in this game over here. This is the second expansion to the game. I believe the first one is Pirates over here, Copperforge and Pirates, because if you go to pledge levels, you can see $30 gets you Copperforge, $52 gets you Copperforge and Pirates, $80 gets you Greyport plus Copperforge, and $100 gets you all the things over here. So a few pledge levels over here, depending on what content you have and or want for the game, and that is the Red Dragon Inn Chaos in Copperforge. You'll also get promos for the Red Dragon Inn as well as add-ons if you want metal recruitment tokens, or life tracker dice, or metal turn markers, or all those things over here. And yes, you have stretch goals as well being slowly unlocked, and then somewhere over here there were promos you get for the Red Dragon Inn as well, somewhere on this page here. Maybe. Here we go. Plus bonus content for the game that started it all. We have all these these items over here for the Red Dragon Inn at the same time. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value, all of that, short answer is probably not on this one. The price point of what you're getting versus any degree of exclusive or anything else, you're probably not really getting. This is one that probably does not hold its value. In general, the Battle for Greyport is one that sells for less than it costs to begin with, and that's going to be likely hold true for anything you get here. The price point is not bad. It's also more expensive than you'll find on the secondhand market. It is one that is harder to track down in general in retail, so it has a low retail presence, which means it's a little hard to get your hands on it. So if your conversation is Kickstarter versus retail versus secondhand market, then Kickstarter versus retail, the price point's a little high, but at the same time, it has a low retail presence. If your conversation is versus secondhand market, well, the secondhand market on this one so far has been lower. I think that will likely hold true here as well. You're paying for shipping, you're paying for the game, you're getting all those things. Again, it's fine, it's not the worst price, but I do not think this is one that holds its value overall. From there, we have Ivion Season 2, Winter's Bite. I need more coffee. That pep comes at a cost. Ivion Season 2, Winter's Bite. Revisit the Skrells, a brutal archipelago beset by an endless winter. Craft your hero and spill cold blood. 344 backers, $50,000 raised, 18 days to go. Ivion Season 2, or Ivion in general, is a game that looks very compelling to me. And I'd probably pick it up if there were more people who are actually like in on the system. Right now, it seems to be a very well-rated game that has a very small amount of people, which means I don't take the ratings seriously enough just yet. I need more ratings for me to say, I mean, this game, for context, this is Season 2. They had Season 1 already. Season 1 is over on Board Game Geek. You can check out, well, it's not over on Board Game Geek. It has items on Board Game Geek you can check out, and you can see the ratings on the system. And Ivion as a system is generally rated very well, 8+ on all the various implementations of it. This is a hero crafting game where every single box comes with, well, you can craft heroes. You can have different boxes over here, and you craft the hero from the 2 classes and 1 specialization. So it's not really deck building in a typical sense, but it's rather grabbing sets of cards and merging them together in that sense over there as you craft out your hero. A very interesting system, which, I mean, we've seen this kind of system done before in many ways. Anything from Smash Up to Sorcerer to dozens of systems that give you a merging of different decks. But I like it. It kind of gives you the benefits of building a deck in the sense that you have a sense of agency over what you're creating, but without the full amount of mental headache that goes into actually creating a deck. Combine that with the skirmish nature of the game, with what this game seems to be doing. If you watch the video is very compelling. The gameplay out there, there's a lot of reviews out there that seems to imply that this game is a lot of fun, but also, again, on my end, I need more ratings just because for me to go all in on this is going to run me $200, and I need more than like 50 people rating the game for me to spend $200 on a system, especially if it's a system that goes into a 2-player head-to-head genre, which for me has always been a harder genre to keep, as I find over time that players who know the game better tend to do better at it, and I find there tends to be an imbalance unless you're playing it with the same people on a regular basis. 2-player head-to-head games that are card-based, I just find that I like them, and I rarely keep them. Point is, I guess, that I'm very interested in Ivion, and I wish I had more of a compelling reason to spend $200 on it, but for right now, I'm trying to hold a little firm on that one. Past that, the gameplay, like I said already, is hero crafting. Pledge levels over here are going to come in. We'll go through a few other things in different orders here. Pledge levels are $39 for a single pack over there, $99 for the Winter's Bite, which is the 3 new systems over here, and $200 for the complete anthology that comes together with the anthology storage box over here. So you can get a $200 box over here with our, that comes with the all-in for everything over there. We have also Kickstarter exclusive Make a Trade competition, all $99 pledges, and higher get access to the last 3 Make a Trade promo cards over there. And there's a few other extras you can get, so the playmat, the tokens, the sleeve and trait box over here, all these things over here as far as what you can get for this game. You can see the pledge levels all broken down, all the stuff you're getting. Again, the gameplay looks very cool. I highly recommend watching the video. The video does make it look compelling. It looks like another fun head-to-head 2-player game. Again, the main problem for me is just the cost and the fact that it's another fun, and I don't know if this one stands out or not. We'll see. But ultimately, past that, as far as if we keep scrolling down over here, what are we trying to find over here? We have the free anthology box, the pre-exclusives, all these things, just trying to get to the end. And this is the system over here. You're going to be picking a hero's crafted from 2 classes and 1 specialization. So you can craft the Cryomancer and the Druid, and you can have, specialization of being a Wilder or whatnot. Again, the concept here looks fun. I mean, even just making classes in general sounds fun, and that's what's going on over here as far as everything with Ivion. As far as should you back it, should you not, short version of this one comes down to the price points right now. Is if you look at the used market over on Board Game Geek on this game, the pricing on this one doesn't seem to hold up on the secondhand market. Again, it's a game that is well rated, but it also has a low enough following that it's hard for people to turn around and sell the game for $200 on this one. Which means right now, if you want the game, by all means get it, but it's one that you're unlikely to see your money back on if it's not for you, and that combined with the fact that it's a 2-player head-to-head game makes me less sure that I should get it. Again, it looks very cool. I'm very interested in the game. I really, really am. I want to get my hands on Ivion. I want to play Ivion at some point, but for right now, it's going to have to go to the back burner of games that I'm having a little bit more shelf control on, just primarily because of the cost. They're pricing me out on this one, which, either way, has to happen at some time. But that is Ivion Season 2, Winter's Bite. From there, we have River Trek and more coffee. More coffee is on my end, River Trek's on your end. River Trek. River Trek is a game, 164 play. Well, River Trek is a game. 164 backers, $3,554 currently raised, 18 days to go. River Trek is a Mon-Cala style game. As you place out a tile and you build, you're gonna have these tiles over here. You're placing out a pattern of tiles over here, and then you're placing things along the river, and then you're basically moving stacks of tile, moving stacks of these tokens along by picking up a full stack and dropping off along the way, trying to match the right colors in the right situations at the right times. That's what's going on in River Trek. Just think of it as Mon-Cala style things, but Mon-Cala less of a circular board and more of a movement along a path as you try to match things up. That's the basic idea of the game. Light, simple, quick, all that, which makes sense because it's $15 for the game, $7 for shipping. For US might be different. You can. This is one of those games that I know this is old school. I know we don't see this anymore, but this is one of those campaigns where if you click on the actual backing, it'll give you drop-down options of how much shipping will cost, and then charge you that on Kickstarter. That used to be the norm. For those of you who don't know this, that used to be the norm. If you're looking for a shipping table on this campaign and you don't see it, that's because it's actually built into Kickstarter. Nowadays, we just don't see that for the most part, except for Button Shy campaigns. Button Shy campaigns still do that, but most campaigns do not do that. Most campaigns have it built into the Pledge Manager, which means you never really see shipping until much later, to the point that people will be looking for shipping over here, not see it, and be very confused. So that's what's going on over there. You can make sure to check that out over there. We have to open up Guns or Treasures. I forgot to open this one. Oh no. We're going to be going impromptu through Guns and Treasures, I realized, because we have a few things. I might have to pause this video because there's two games that I somehow missed over here. We'll come back to them in a second. But either way, going back to River Trek over here. River Trek, this is basically coming to you from the same people who brought you Shuffling Echidna Shuffle as well, but that's River Trek. River Trek, as far as should you back it, should you not, this is cheap enough that I don't know what your options really are for getting it cheaper than this. Maybe you can save money on this somehow. Maybe you can get it for cheaper, $15. I don't know, but it's one that likely will not hold its value either. It is a small box game with probably a smaller audience. The 334 backers means I think this is both one that you really won't get your money back, but also it's one that's so cheap that if you're interested in it, you're paying $22 for it, so I don't really know how much I can strongly convince you to get it elsewhere. From there, I will probably take a little bit of a pause here as I go through Abducktion, and yeah, you're gonna have to give me a minute here because these two are supposed to be on my list and both missed, so I'm gonna pause this video and come back in a second after I do my research on these two games. And we're back, and we are ready to go into Guns or Treasure. Guns or Treasure, with these past two games, I'm sorry, they're both on my list, and somehow I didn't actually pull them up to have them here, so either way, Guns or Treasure. The good news is it wasn't to wait on your end, it's just to wait on my end. Guns or Treasure, 441 backers, $19,000 raised, 10 days to go. Guns or Treasures is a light bluffing game from the same creators who brought you Rescuing Robin Hood. This is their next game. By the way, Rescuing Robin Hood, which did fairly well, got a Dice Tower Seal of Excellence, was well rated, well received. This is their next game, a light, family, accessible bluffing game. This in general, their games so far seem to fall into the category of trying to appeal to gamers and non-gamers alike with their offering. And they're trying to do that with this game, which offhand, the artwork looks absolutely amazing. That's the first thing I can tell you over here. Same artist as Rescuing Robin Hood, I assume, just looking at them, but I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing. But Guns or Treasure is a game which you're going to be building out your ships. Let's see if we can scroll down to how to play over here. Just look at the art. The art's very, very pretty over here. But you're building out your ship. What you're doing over here is you're going to be gathering cards and placing them down, constructing ships that either have more treasures or bombs or guns on the ships as you figure out who to attack, and the player with the most treasure wins the game. There's also going to be an expansion in it as well. The expansion is going to be the Parrots and Something expansion. Let's see if we can find it over here. The Parrots and was here somewhere here, expansion over here. We have the Parrots and Monkeys expansion, giving you more content for the game, allowing you to play up to 9 players and adding new ship cards and captains to your game. Pledge levels for this come in at $20 for the basic pledge over here, basic pledge of Guns or Treasures, and then $30 for the deluxe pledge, giving you the extra expansion mixed in as well. And then there's $65, and this is a pledge worth paying attention to, $65 for the all-in, which includes Rescuing Robin Hood as well. So this is getting $75 worth for only $65, bringing you Guns or Treasures, the Parrots and Monkeys expansion, and Rescuing Robin Hood in case you're interested in getting your hands on that one. That's there as well. And then there's some stretch goals as well in terms of, there's some stretch goals, not stretch goals, there's some deluxe add-ons, $5 for this metal coin, as well as you can get some of those as well in the, over here, the $100 pledge level if you want a whole bunch of game store stuff and all those things, or multiple, or spending a group pledge with other people, stuff like that. You have access to all of that over here. And that's everything we have going going on as far as guns or treasure. As far as should you back it, should you not, the nature of small box games like this generally means that they do not hold their value in case you're trying to sell it later. Most of these rarely do, and that's going to include this one as well, I assume. In general, small box games, especially small box bluffing games, I think it's one that if you're interested in the game, by all means, this might be the best opportunity to get your hands in it, the easiest opportunity to get your hands on the base game, the expansion, extras, all that stuff. But as far as will it hold this value, less likely on that end. I do recommend if you're interested in rescuing Robin Hood, that $65 pledge level over there, that one likely gives you the best value because it does give you a discount baked in and gives you an opportunity to get all the games at the same time. From there, moving on to Abducktion, 5,544 backers, $281,000 raised, 11 days to go. This one is doing incredibly well. Incredibly well. This is a weirdly strategic duck kidnapping game, otherwise known as play cards, rearrange your ducks, complete polyomino shapes, and try to do so more efficiently than the other players to win the game. Abducktion is a game which you're going to be, well, like I said already, rearranging ducks. You can have your little grid over here. Let's see if we can find a different picture. You have a little grid over here. You're going to be playing cards in order to rearrange the patterns of your own ducks as well as the patterns of your opponent's ducks, swapping ducks back and forth, trying to complete polyomino shapes. So if we go back to this thing over here, you can see, look, he just created that shape over there. So he's going to remove those ducks and complete that shape, scoring points for it. That's all the game is. It's basically a light, accessible 15-minute game of playing cards to rearrange the patterns of your ducks, grabbing the ducks from the UFO, which is a cute little gimmick where you can just reach in, pull the ducks out, the little acrylic ducks over there, and then just try to arrange them all. There's also an expansion in case you want to mix things up. The expansion adding little space science pods or whatnot, research pods, adding research pods to your duck, which gives you opportunities to complete cooler, more advanced cards. So you can see this card over here, you would inherently need those research pods lined up, but once you do so, you have the opportunity for some more clever, interesting plays just because you have extra pods on your ship. As far as the pledge levels over here, we have $25 for the base game, which gives you that 3D UFO, 80 adorable acrylic ducks, 4 player boards, 15% discount code to all their previous games, and then $45 you get the expansion as well, and then $50 you get 2 Abducktion games, $90 you get 2. That's basically what you have over there. Basically $25 or $45 to get your hands on the game or the game plus expansion. As far as their other games, because there's a 15% discount code for that, they have Puns of Anarchy, Ransom Notes, Charty Party, and Open Relationships, of which from these 4, I've actually played Charty Party, and I think it's a very fun game. It's very much a party game, very much leaning into heavily accessible party game and not a heavy strategy game, not by a long shot, but I actually think Charty Party is brilliant and very, very clever and a fun game of trying to match up charts with other things that are, well, hilarious. I've played through like all the cards. It's actually pretty funny, but Puns of Anarchy, Ransom Notes, and Open Relationships have not played any of those. But that's everything going on over here. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? It likely won't. These games, this is much more of a mass market focused appeal. This is one that likely will not be, you know, the $25 you're paying for the game. If you want the game, by all means, it might be a cheapest opportunity to get your hands in it. It is less likely to be one that you get your money back if you're trying to sell this one down the road. It looks like it's leaning very heavily into casual gamer friendly, which is not a bad thing. It's always a good thing to have more friendly, accessible games out there, but if you're someone watching this video, there's a decent chance that this is a little bit lower than what you're typically used to and might not be as much a fit for you. It's cute, it's adorable, it's charming, and it's got ducks, but it may or may not be a lighter game than you're interested in. Which brings us to the regularly scheduled content, the games that I did not forget to cover, which is Nanolith, a cyberpunk RPG board game. Nanolith, 1,600 backers, $448,000 raised. Nanolith's doing incredibly well so far, 23 days to go, plenty of time left on this one. And Nanolith is a 50 to 60 hour legacy campaign, which gives you a huge degree of choose your own adventure, of tactical combat, of RPG, like leveling up your characters, a lot of fun things, honestly. Highly recommend watching this video. I think this video will give you a lot of feel or to what the game is like. It goes through a few things, including the narrative choice aspects, the flipping through the book as you see different pages and make different choices around what you want to engage with, what you want to deal with there. As far as the character building, how easy it is to level up and progress your characters. As far as the tactical skirmish-based play, as you try and move around the boards and the maps that are all presented to you. You have your 100 pages of content in the book that you're flipping through, giving you a whole bunch of everything just contained within the book in front of you. It looks very, very compelling. I highly recommend watching the video if you're in any way on the fence about this game. This can be a game full of exploring a vast open world full of adventures with minimal setup time, and if they hold true to that minimal setup time, that's a big deal over there. Fighting unique encounters, unleashing powerful nanoshocks, and unlock new places, stories, and comics, fight for your memories, and wake up, which is great, why not? But then from there, we have a few options over here as far as the pledge levels. We have €80, roughly $80 for the core game, all unlock stretch goals, the Kickstarter exclusive content, and that's a savings off the retail price, plus you have the Kickstarter exclusive content over there. And then for €110, an extra €30, you also get the deluxe component upgrades, which includes the hero miniatures, acrylic player boards, the custom dice, acrylic tokens, and the game mode arena plus boss fight. That's the idea. If we scroll through here, let's show you the actual content. So over here you have the actual content. which is the 100+ page storybook. We have the heroes, the sidekicks, the acrylic standees, the player boards, the multicolor acrylic cubes, all this stuff that you see over here, all this stuff slowly, some of these things being slowly unlocked as you go through them. The 180+ cards, the boss cards, all those things. And by the way, there are only 4 characters to play as in this game, and they've said very clearly there's not more, because the game really revolves around them, their backstories, their mission, and so you can't just swap things in and out. They are sacrificing variety of characters for depth of characters and interweaving this into the story, which I certainly don't mind. I always like variety, but it's nice to see the idea of sometimes I think some games should focus on variety, and some games should focus on immersive backstory, so that the market has both and you can pick and choose whatever you want to play with, or both. And then over here for the deluxe pledge, you have everything we just saw above, plus you have the extra heroes and the heroes and sidekick miniatures, the custom dice over here, the upgraded acrylic tokens, the upgraded acrylic player boards, and then additional game mode that gets played inside the box as well in the deluxe pledge over there. So that's basically what's going on. And then pledge levels, we have a bunch of things, not pledge levels, stretch goals have a bunch of things being unlocked as well, including things, and I was impressed by this, including things like sleeves for all the cards, which could have been an optional buy, including 25 custom stress dice, which could have been an optional buy, a bunch of things that they could have had as optional buys, and the game is available on Tabletop Simulator if you want to check that out. But this is what we have in Nanolith Cyberpunk RPG. Looks very compelling, looks very well done. Again, I highly recommend you watching the actual video of the campaign page to see if you're interested, and from there there's a lot of other gameplay content you can check out if the video tempts you enough. This game does look compelling, and for the price point, I mean the $80 you're paying, plus of course shipping and all that, for the 50 to 60 hours of content is a very reasonable price point. I mean, if you look at something like even just Familiar Tales, which will run you like a retail game, which will run you like $65 for that alone, I think that there's an incredible amount of content and gameplay here for a very good price point if the game is, well, a good one as well. As far as should you back it, should you not, I'm kind of inclined to say yes on this one, although as always with these games, it is a risk. When you're talking about a new campaign, new publisher, there's all these question marks, anything from will the game be good, what's their playtesting and all that stuff, like how good will the game experience be. The good news is you could test this on TTS to see if it is compelling enough for you. If the game's on TTS, you can dive in and check that out before seeing if you want to get this one or not. But I am inclined to believe that if this one actually is as good as it looks, and looks is the key word, I think this one will hold its value. The price point for the content you have on this one makes it very compelling, assuming it's actually 50 to 60 hours of good content that you want to dive into. And there's lots of content, lots of testimonials, lots of people who've tried the game, who have said good things about the game. So yeah, I'm inclined, it's definitely in the risk factor, but I am inclined to believe this one holds its value on the secondhand market. It looks like a good game that will do well later and have hype and buzz, and hopefully a second Kickstarter down the road. And then from there, lastly, we go to Trailblazer. Trailblazer, $130,000 raised, 2,000 backers, 24 days to go, coming to you from Bitewing Games, and this is Ryan Courtney, the designer of Pipeline, designer of Curious Cargo, bringing you Trailblazers, a puzzly portable game of hiking, biking, and kayaking to survive the great outdoors. This is a game that comes in a few different modes, we'll talk about that shortly, but it's a game of playing down cards. In a very typical Pipeline and Curious Cargo fashion, Ryan Courtney is once again having you play down cards, but that's now the main focus of the game. Playing down these cards with different pathways, with different ways things loop together, so you can create pathways and create larger enclosed areas as you go through it, trying to figure out the most efficient way to do so, better than the other opponents, so that you can score as many points as possible, using again that spatial puzzle aspect he has done in previous games, but focusing on it as the main core concept, making this a lighter, more accessible game. But also, I like doing things like that. I like laying down cards to create little patterns, and I am very interested in Trailblazers as a result. And Ryan Courtney in general is a great designer. I'd love to try this one out and see how this one goes. But this is Trailblazers over here from Ryan Courtney, and there's a few different options as far as the pledge levels. Let's go down to the little chart, because I think the pledge levels, before we do actually, let's talk about a few other things. You can construct your hiking, biking, and kayaking loops over here. You're going to push your luck over here. Mix it up with animals and adventures. The game comes with 2 modules mixed in, 2 little challenges or modules, animals and adventures as far as the game, either racing to stay ahead or putting animals on your pathway, which can be helpful, but also locks in your pathways. And then you have over here solo modes. There's 3 different solo modes. There's a standard solo mode where you just try to fulfill different goals. There's going to be adventure solo mode where you stay ahead of traveling figures, and then the epic solo mode where you put all 72 trail cards together across 3 challenging stages of animal expansions and loop extensions in this 30 to 90 minute ROM. Honestly, that sounds very compelling. Would totally play that. But that's Trailblazers. Trailblazers over here as far as the types you can buy, because there's 3 different ways to dive into this game, and that's going to be over here. Comparing the features, and let's scroll down to the pledge levels. We have $34 for the standard Super Travel Edition of the game, which brings you the case, the carabiner, the PVC card upgrade, the player count, and the solo mode all baked in over here. But it's only one of the solo modes. You have to factor that in because you don't have all the cards and everything you'd need for the rest. We have the standard game, which is going to run you basically $49 for the standard edition of the game. 1 to 8 players, does not have the case, does not have the upgraded cards, but does have the animal expansion, the adventure expansion on all the solo modes, does not have the screen print upgrade. And then the deluxe version of the game is going to have all of it. The deluxe version is going to have the case, the upgrade, the player count, all the things over there, and that's going to run you $79 for the game. So basically you have to try to figure out what you want over here, and for me that is tricky, because for me at the end of the day, while I'm interested in kind of everything in theory, at the same time I'm willing to pay an extra $30 for the case and carabiner and the PVCI card upgrade when the only thing I really care about is the screen print upgrade. I don't mind the card upgrade, but I don't need that case. I'm not going to be traveling with this game, or I don't think I'll be traveling with this game, or I should say I'm less likely to be traveling with this game in a way that has me wanting the extra copies or splitting it up or figuring it out. And so I'm kind of most interested in the standard mode, which also means, speaking of should you back it, I am likely waiting till retail on this one. At the end of the day for this, if your options are the Super Travel Edition or the Deluxe Edition, then Kickstarter is likely the best place to go for this one. The game seems well vetted. People have played this game a lot. Lots of positive testimonials coming in for this game. I think this is one that will be liked and will be sought after. At the same time, if you're interested in, well, just the main stuff over here, you can just wait for retail and get the standard edition. You'll get it cheaper at retail down the road. And so this question kind of what you're looking for on this game. I think this is a game worth checking out. I think there's a lot of positive, well, there's content left, right, and center in it. There's positive testimonials, lots of stuff going on here. Whether it's a game that you're interested in, that's up to you. But as far as should you back or should you not, I think it depends what you want. I think the case and carabiner and the deluxe options might hold their value down the road because I think they'll be sought after by people who want all that, but it depends what you're looking for over there. And that is everything that we have over here for all the games, which brings us next week, just a little small tease of what's coming up next week. We have, well, not next week, it's coming up later today, but I won't be talking about it till next week. On GameFound in a few hours, we'll have Robomon from Gay Barrett popping up, the tabletop adventure, a little bit of a Robomon, you know, our Pokemon adjacent gameplay of, here we go, exploration focused, story driven, open world game of robot discovery and combat for 1 to 2 players. Looks compelling. Robomon, check this out over on GameFound later today, which brings us to Picks of the Week. Picks of the Week, and for that we have two, as always. We have the game that I think is most likely to hold its value, and then the game I am most personally interested in. And we'll talk about that in a second, but let's start with what's most likely to hold its value. And I'm cheating a bit on this one, but Foundations of Rome, Roads of Fortune, and Second Printing is most likely to hold its value. Now I'm cheating a bit in the sense that I'm looking at the full picture and not specifically the expansion, but I do think that this will hold its value just fine. The original Foundations of Rome so far has, it's hard to get your hands on, it sells for well above its value. I think that will hold true for the Second Printing as well, and so if you're interested in this game, I think this is the most likely, I think this is the best choice if you're looking at one of the games here and which one is the safest bet to get on Kickstarter as opposed to elsewhere. If you're getting it anyways, I think Foundations of Rome is going to fall into that category. Again, I am looking at the full picture, not just the expansion, but that's the one that's most likely to hold its value. As far as the one that I'm most interested in, I went back and forth heavily between Nanolith and Trailblazers. I am going to settle. I'm torn. I'll pick both. I'll pick both, and I'll tell you why. For me, I think Nanolith is more compelling as a game. I am very interested and compelled by Nanolith. Going through the video over here, going through everything going on, I am very, very interested in this one. The part where I'm torn is this will also join the backlog of many campaign games that I'm interested in and have to play through them one at a time, and so it may just go on the shelf unplayed for a long time, despite my interest in it, versus Trailblazers is one that is likely to get tabled 15 times before I ever get through 4 games of Nanolith. And so, while Nanolith does have me more compelled from a pure direct, which game am I more interested in, Trailblazers is very close behind it, and it's one that is likely going to get tabled first and foremost. So I'm going to give both of these my picks of the week as far as my personal interest pick of the week, although, yeah, I mean, I gave you the breakdown. I gave you the explanation. And that is everything. That is your to back or not to back as far as everything going on, as far as what's going on. There we go. Everything going on as far as the games and all that stuff. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for bearing with me through all of this. And as always, I hope you have a good one. I started a new support group for people who eat dried grapes. It's called Raising Awareness.